my brother-in-law, who was married to my wife's sister at that time, ended up committing suicide. And I was in the manosphere, what would become the manosphere at that time when that happened. I was right around 2003. And it wasn't like, people always ask me, when was your red pill moment? And it was gradual. It wasn't like, there wasn't some big crisis or some big, come to Jesus moment or something like that. I think a lot of people think that was definitely an eye opener for sure. But my brother-in-law ended up putting a rope around his neck because of, he'd done everything right. He married my sister-in-law at a very early age because he had knocked her up. I think he would have been like 21 or 22. I think she was like 19, and everybody thought he was going to bail. And they thought, he's out of here, forget it. He's just, hit it and quit it. And he didn't. He did the right thing. He put his entire life on hold. He had all these plans to go to college and everything else. And he completely changed his life and rearranged his life to do the right thing. Right? We hear that all the time. Mm-hmm. And even today. And to his credit, that's what he did. And right around the time he's just about 40 years old, and I had two children, and right about the time his first son was already away at college, and his daughter was just about done with high school, that's when my sister-in-law decided she wanted to take up with the guy who was a millionaire. And that was the worst thing he could think of, because he had built his entire life around the happily ever after. Right? And right about the point at which he was about to become like an empty nester, that's when his worst fears were realized for him. And it wasn't even so much that what had happened right then. He'd been zeroed out, is what I call it. I've done several essays and several talks about, guys getting zeroed out, particularly now because, men, depending on whose numbers you're using, men, commit suicide. Sorry about that. Men commit suicide in between 3.5 to 5 times as often as women do, like successfully complete suicide. And I didn't know that at the time. In fact, that's what the numbers are right now. But it wasn't when I got into writing what I write and starting the blog and starting the books. It wasn't because, I'm going to do my best to keep the noose off of these guys' neck. It was more like my analytical, rational, the rational male understanding of intersexual dynamics. But that incident kind of changed my mind about how I thought about things, because he had been zeroed out. He basically lived his entire life as sort of like this blue pill beta male guy doing the right thing.